Hi, y'all. Welcome to Charot Room with me, FaelnarTe.
And Kim say,
And I'm Justine.
And once again, unfortunately, we're gentrified because one of our Asian gal pals, Angel, is unavailable. So we're gentrified today by the owner
Or
of MissJharlee Talk, one of the people that started MissJharlee Talk.
yes, I'm a Miss J.
hi, Miss
Hi,
J.
Jen
Hey, Jay.
Winslow. Oh my God. So we're gonna talk about a little controversial topic, and it's do you guys want to have kids at all, or like before starting transition, for instance, were you asked to watch the video about like, hey, if you want to have kids, there's ways for you to have kids by maybe um freeze banking some of your baby making products so that you can keep on making babies in the future once you start like making hormone therapy. Have you guys ever experienced that? Anyone aside from me?
Well, I've never thought of having kids before, or I mean, yeah, I never thought of having one. So it would
Just two.
be yes. So, or two, or three, or four. But yeah. How about you guys? I mean, Sis Justine.
You never thought of having kids? Wow.
I
I
know,
mean,
right?
I do thought about having kids. The next question would be how.
Yeah,
It doesn't
yeah.
matter how. I guess my stand with kids, having kids, I guess I do like to have kids. I like kids, but at the same time, I guess it depends. I don't know if it should depends on my whoever I'm with, but I
Uh-huh.
do love kids. I want to have kids any way I can get kids.
So
So
wait,
yeah,
no,
Still,
so nobody of you guys had to watch a video before you went through hormone therapy, hormone replacement
no.
No.
therapy. How about you, Jen? You never?
I didn't have to. My therapist mentioned it, but didn't have me watch anything.
Oh, really? So I was like, so wait, is that? Don't tell me I'm the most ancient person that transitioned here. Oh my God, that's did I just like age myself?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. But like in transition years, I'm the oldest one, no?
Hmm.
Yes.
Dang it. Okay, so like, how about you, Jen? Do you want kids? Do you have kids? Do you have any kids?
So this is funny. I have one child, and this may sound weird or wrong, but I never thought of having kids. They were not planned, but they were welcomed and loved, and and now as a mom, I love the fact that
So did you
Yeah.
have a kid as a mom?
I.
Like ever since like okay, so like that's a touchy subject. How would you explain that to when you had a kid? And how did it feel if like you were presenting already as female during that time as your authentic self?
So for me, I was 25. I still had a year in college. I was not presenting female. I was still figuring things out for myself. When we found out that the pregnancy was coming, I was terrified. Um, Not just because of having a kid, but because I was like, because I was trying to figure things out in my head, I'm just like, oh, this now adds something completely different into the mix of what my plans for my life are.
Were you
Uh,
already married when you had a kid?
no, we got married quickly after. Um, and then, and that made, a 22-year detour in what my plans for transition were.
Oh wow. So like you
Yeah.
never even had to watch like the video, you just did it.
Exactly.
She went straight doing it.
Yeah.
What about
And
your
how's
mother,
that
Lee?
journey?
Did I want to have a kid?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I like kids. I had nephews and nieces ever since I was like a young kid. So I do like kids. Do I want to have a kid? If I can afford a kid, I can't even afford a dog. So if I could afford a dog and afford like taking care of a dog, I might consider adopting a kid. But I do have two beautiful kids in my life that are my sister's daughters, my nieces, and I consider me being their, I don't know how far away mom to them, and I'll treat them as like my own kids, even
Yeah.
but
Oh,
they're
that's so
still
sweet.
blood. So like I have two nieces that I love. I was left by a boyfriend because they wanted to have kids, and the reason that they wanted to have kids was because I made them want to have kids because I was good with kids. So is that not ironic?
Yeah. Wow.
No, literally though, I was left by a boyfriend because I like I said, I had nieces since I was a kid, so I was good with dealing with kids. So I would play with kids when they're around. I'd be like, I'd do all that,
His
and then
baby
kids,
talk.
yeah, and then kids would be like, and then like one day he posed the question, so how do you think, like, what do you think of having kids? And then, like deep inside my head, I was like, uh-oh.
So, Miss Jen, how was that journey when you've mentioned that you had a kid before you transitioned. So how was
Yeah.
that journey for you, and how is it for her, or he or her, or for your kid?
Okay, so now you have to explain this to Miss Kim. Oh my God, Kim, like you don't know what's going on. There's drama. There's gonna be a feud, but like I'm gonna be quiet about it.
Well,
Y'all,
this is part of life. I think this is part of the exciting part, the spices of life, as what they
Yes.
say. Mhm.
So the roller coaster ride is about to begin. Make sure that your bar is down and locked. Keep your hands in the car. So it was. I mean, it was. It was phenomenal. Again, I always liked kids. I had nephews and nieces, and I loved my cousins. I just never really thought I would have kids. Here we are. We find out we're pregnant. We're watching a comedy show, and I'm trying to laugh, and my soon-to-be wife at that point is not chuckling whatsoever, because she's scared to death. She's more terrified about it than I was. So as we progressed through raising the child, we were both very open-minded people and loving people. So the only thing that Logan knew in life was love and acceptance and the worth of humanity. Through that, even though we kept the trans side of me very hush, very quiet, very hidden, Logan found on their own things like Eddie Izzard, and we would watch RuPaul, so they did have that connection. And I'm going to pop this real quick. So they are non-binary. They came out 3 years ago as non-binary. So I will try to be saying either Logan or they through the rest of this.
hold on, Miss Jen. I'm gonna stop you real quick.
Please do.
So Eddie Izzard is a comedian. If you want to just like keep on explaining who Eddie Izzard is more, so that Kim would and Justine would be familiar with it. I'm not going to say anything about Eddie Izzard.
Okay.
So Eddie Izzard is
British.
an executive transvestite comedian from England. He definitely is on the spectrum. He very much draws attention to the fact that he does dress in women's clothes. It's not part of a comedy. It's not part of anything he makes fun of. He's very much in tune with who he is. There have been rumors floating around because he just did a year of running marathons, and a lot of the rumor from folk is that they actually think he was getting into shape to basically come out as trans, but then everything went into lockdown, so I have no idea. So I think that's just a rumor.
I don't think so either.
I think he's comfortable on who he is and
who she is, they are.
Right.
Because I think I'm not gonna talk personally about Eddie Izzard. Like their lives, they have to disclose on their own terms. So, but also, what is non-binary? Kim, what is non-binary? Kim C. Let's make sure you understand stuff before Jen says anything, just in case you'll be like, what?
Well, I have an idea what non-binary is. It's just that
what is it?
I'm not good at explaining on what it is, but I know and understand what non-binary.
Also, like, hopefully, like, Filipino audiences watch this, right? So how are you going to explain it to a Filipino person, Kim?
Well, I'll probably pass the mic back to you, MissJharlee, because I'm not good at explaining.
Seriously, because like I don't have that. I mean, I hang out with specific Filipino friends that are like minds. I have a hard time hanging out with Filipino friends that are not like minds. And I know you have like you're more immersed with the Filipino community here in Los Angeles. Am I correct or not by saying that?
If you can explain further on that too. But actually, I want to hear more about Miss Jen's first, and then we can go back to the glossary of that non-binary thing.
No, explain that, and then Miss Jen will go explain.
Remember, our time is limited here.
I know. Do cliff notes. Do your cliff notes, Kim. No, seriously, do your cliff notes.
Let me ask Mr. Google or Alexa, can you please explain non-binary?
Justine, what is non-binary? How do you understand it?
Dami chika ni ano. Too much chika, Kimi.
I know.
The non-binary, people that doesn't identify themselves as male or female. I'll just leave it like that.
Okay.
How's that?
And then now Jen can like actually explain more.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's exactly what it is, Justine. Logan does not fully identify as either gender. There are days that they are very high femme, and there are days that they are very masculine butch. And their joy in life comes actually from being able to move along that spectrum and not really care where they fit in.
And it's just mostly their expression, their gender expression, but not their identity that fluctuates, right?
Exactly.
Am I correct by saying that? Kim, do you understand what that means?
Please explain more, Mother, so I can further understand.
I think your assignment, Kim, is to know what the difference between gender identity and gender expression is. Like,
go ahead, Miss Jen, and then what?
So that's it. So they're very happy, however they're perceived, as long as it's not the opposite of what they're presenting as. They get irritated then. We were very open-minded. We raised Logan to be very open-minded and loving. Although, because I did have this side of me that we kept it quiet from Logan, not out of shame or out of any kind of hiding, but Logan had a very big mouth. And so they had friends that would not have gotten it. Or that knew my parents, and so it would have gotten back to my parents. I hadn't come out to them yet, so it was very much just because my child had a very big mouth and liked to talk. And
do they know that though? Before
yeah.
So they
yes.
So you're.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to show. Like I don't want them to see this and be like, "Mom, did you just say Do they call you mom?
They call me mom. They call me mom or Jen. But yet also wish me a happy Father's Day. So, you know, I get all the callings. So yeah, so they know that I say that. And the other thing is I for the longest time I dressed very androgynously. There was not a single male presenting person in my town that looked or dressed or acted like me. So the thing that was funny is when I came out and you know, did come out to Logan, and Logan then spread the word to their friends, everyone was like, oh, we just always figured that was Mr. Winslow. Because I didn't, you know, because none of their dads, you know, looked or dressed like me. They were all button downs and hair parted in one direction and short and
short. Oh, I thought like they were short, like height wise. I was like,
no, very, very short
hair.
cropped hair. Mine was cropped. Mine was really short, but it was spiky. So it was like platinum blonde and spikes. So that was basically, I mean, you know, that was basically it. When I had the conversation with my wife, we discussed how we were going to, or how I was going to come out to everyone in the family, Logan included. And I went and picked Logan up from college, and we went out and we had, I don't know, we just went to have something to drink, and we had the full conversation. And they were very on board with it. Again, I think they had an inkling before I came out. But once we did, our relationship actually blossomed from there. We were already super close, and like Logan has always been, you know, like my best friend, you know, even with being a parent. And now like we're closer than we ever have been since my transition.
So do you think you would have a kid again? And would you want to have another child, knowing that now that you're actually presenting authentically as your current self? Because like we probably, like Justine most likely, since she wants to have a child one day, she might need pointers from somebody who already has a child.
So I'll put it to you this way. I'm older, so now there's no way in the world older? I want a kid. I am. You know, I mean, I'm 54, and there's no way I want to have a child. You know, at this age.
How about a fur baby?
Oh, I go back and forth on the fur baby. I really do. But I wish I had transitioned sooner in my life, but after Logan was born. I think that would have been an amazing, because I don't want to have any regrets of like not having fathered a child. Because
so you think it's still fathering a child though? Because like, is it because your role that you played was that of a patriarch of the family?
Correct. In fact, when I transitioned, the first thing that Logan did when they really got everything together was like, you know, in front of my wife, wished me a happy Mother's Day. And the look of pain and disappointment on my ex-wife's face was very apparent. And so I told Logan at that point, in front of Joy, I'm like, I said, you can wish me a Mother's Day from this point on. I said, but I fathered you. My role in you being on this earth was I fathered you. Your mom carried you for 9 months. I didn't have a lot to do after the fathering process. You know, at that point, it was all taken care of my wife and making sure that we were in a good place and that she was healthy and all of that, so that Logan can be born and you know, and we would have a wonderful child. Even with that, when Logan was born, I really only wanted one child. We had talked about multiples, and I was actually the naysayer.
Was it more because like you weren't your authentic self at that time?
I think so. Because part of what I took into consideration, one was financial. You know, we were a struggling newlywed couple, but the other side of that is like, if I add another life into what I'm already delaying, then is it ever going to happen?
Okay.
So I think that was another deciding factor.
So what advice, Justine, would you want to ask Jen about having kids if you are to have kids in the future? Because like you've been quiet recently.
No, that was it was a really, you know, interesting story. God, see, now we're getting to know more of Miss Jen, even though we're locked down in the house. But what should I ask Miss Jen? I'm sure which part do you love the most?
As far as role of mother or father, or
both. I should say both.
For me, I love I love the being a mother aspect more. I think because now there are things that you know, again, like moms and daughters do. We go out and we go shopping, and it's wonderful. Whereas before, we would go out shopping, and I would have to, you know, look out of the corner of my eye and like, oh, that's like really cute, and not, you know, and not really show a lot more interest. I mean, I wore leggings and skinny jeans, and my boots all had heels on them, so it wasn't like it was you know, a lot of things I didn't look at or decide to wear, but you know, I wasn't blatant about you know, like grabbing a dress or something like that. So I went more to the Prince route with the heeled boots and the, you know, and that androgynous kind of run.
Justine, like how do you plan to have, like you said, like you, no matter what type of way you're planning to have a kid, so did you ever discuss it at all with your current partner? I know I'm putting you in the spot again.
I know. He's actually watching all our episodes, so I have to give him a thumbs up first before. Yeah. Probably. God, how do you say? I mean, I ask him sometimes indirectly, just out of nowhere.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna cry now.
Why are you gonna cry?
Because that was very very hard.
It is. I mean, it's a hard question. I think for me.
Probably it's
yeah. Go ahead, Kim.
No. I think with your question to Justine, like I feel like it comes at the right time, like, you know, like, because right now probably like this is just like me, like putting myself into Justine's shoes. Like probably I would want to have a kid, but then I still have to consider a lot of things, like what Miss Jen said earlier, because you had a kid like at an early age, right? Like newly, when you were in college, I think, or something. So you know, you have to consider like the financial factor, also the timing wise, also stability, basically a lot of things to consider. But then so if you have, do you think are those correct, Sis Justine? Like
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, that's a good point to consider. I guess sometimes when you're young and dumb, you just override everything you have to consider before, getting having a kid. And then, I would say I'm not in the position
So does it?
financially yet,
Yeah. So
but
do you think?
like just the thought of having a kids is wonderful.
Do you think then that being trans women that are or trans women doesn't matter your sexual orientation though, it's it gives you a bit of leverage on when you're gonna have children or decide to have kids. Did Kim just freeze again?
Wait, what was
Does it
that?
give no? So like since like
no,
we're all trans women, does it give us leverage on like deciding when we have kids? Because like normal, I is it for cis women or like does would they have a choice for the most part, or does it happen like it becomes it's not that's not the right way to ask the question. Then are you trying to do you understand where I'm getting, Miss Jen?
I mean
Because like for you, yours was unexpected, and you
right.
guys live in a very conservative part of the country during that time. So was abortion even an option?
Yeah, now this actually, and this obviously this can stay in. I think I mentioned it to Logan once in passing, but I mean, honestly, when we were trying to figure out what we were going to do, every single thing was an option on the table.
Okay.
So abortion came up, and we quickly shot it down because that we believe in and we're pro-choice, but abortion wasn't something that either of us wanted to do.
so Miss Jen, so when you had Logan,
Mhm.
because you mentioned also like you set aside this life that you wanted right now. So how is that like? What was the challenging like? I mean, I can't imagine like you're trying to hold in this thing inside you, and yet I mean you're trying to be like I don't know like maybe a perfect parent for a kid
Mhm.
like a baby kid. So how did you deal with that?
Um, it was not at all easy. Um, Lee and I had a conversation earlier this week or last week, where at one point I've been called a coward by other people in the trans community because they're like, well, you just waited until you were at the it was safe to do it. And my reply to that is my struggle from the moment we found out that we were pregnant until I honestly couldn't hold off any longer and transition had to happen was keeping my family together. I knew what I wanted, I knew where I wanted to be, and I knew where I wanted my journey to conclude. But weighing down on all of that was, you're like, no, I started a family.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
starting that family is more important than I might cry.
Right. Yeah, I was shocked when
Yeah.
sorry, that was very shocking when when like you mentioned that the trans community called you coward. I think that was very selfish, and I think that was brave to put yourself aside and then put your child at first.
Yeah,
I was very brave.
Okay,
yeah,
so
you're
Thank
putting
you.
other people's yeah.
okay, this is situational and like answer really quick as you can.
Mhm.
Because for me, I have who has siblings?
I
I
do.
have
I do.
siblings. Yeah,
Do you have siblings, Kim? Okay, so like just in
yeah,
case, does your siblings have kids?
yeah.
Does your siblings have kids? Okay, so like Jen was put in a spot where they were given a child and then they decided what to do with it. But for us, like we're not in that spot. We can't be put at that spot unless when something happens to our siblings, and then the kids, something happens to the siblings and their partner, and then how are you gonna manage having a kid if you're the person that they left as guardian for that kid? How's your life gonna change? Are you gonna decide? Are you gonna look for another guardian for that kid?
Well, it's of course. I mean, it's given you will take care of your niece or nephews whose parents are like whatever, but knock on wood. Well, because we were kids too at some point in our life, so I think that like how we brought up when we were kids will come back to us. But at the same time, it'll probably be an updated version of us trying to do a better like trying to do a good job in raising a kid, making sure that like they're goal oriented, because like what Miss Jen has mentioned earlier, she put herself aside for her family, so she thought of putting other people's first. So that's probably like I think that's a very natural for a parent to do that, especially for their kids.
Okay, so if you were pre-transition when that happened, would you delay your transition because you have a kid that you're taking care of?
That's I don't I'm not sure how to answer that right away, because that's a tough question, especially like because I'm not in that situation, so I don't know how to answer that. But
Miss Universe.
Well, I personally believe world peace. No, but I think it's that's a tough decision to make, because like depending on your situation too, like considering a lot of factors that you have to consider, your stability, and then the kids education, making sure they have good education, they grow up like in a very well-mannered, disciplined person, very goal-oriented, so that because you don't want them to fail, you want them to succeed. And so probably what I can do is just teach them to be disciplined, to be well-mannered person, and make sure that in this life you have to fight for your dreams, for your position. So
how about you, Justine? Because I would have a hard time with it. I might.
It's not easy. I'm sure it won't be easy.
Yeah, I might because like I don't know what my boiling point would come into like, plus like I already was presenting female or androgynous at a very early age. Like when I say a very early age, like 18, 19, 20. So if anything happened, I would have probably still continued transition, like having like my niece and nephew with me. So would you do the same thing?
Oh yeah, no, it's really tough. I mean, that's why we have, like Miss Jen, like we all learn from other people too, but at the same time, it's gonna be your own experience. It's would I transition if I know I have a kid? I'll probably do it low key. I don't know. That's very. I don't know. No other.
Well, maybe we can talk about it next time, and Jen can join us again. But like before we try to like close it, because we're running out of time. What is non-binary?
We just since we're running out of time, Justin already said it earlier, so please just rewind this again, and then you'll know what it is.
Kim is the queen of what is it? Charot. All right, thank you, Miss J, for joining us.
Thank you, Miss J.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.